Hi everyone, welcome to my studio and to this time-lapse version of something a bit different. It's a pine cone in soft pastel. This is just a little demo, a little study done for my patrons to explore something different, something quick and fun and seasonal. I hope that you enjoy seeing it come together in this speedy version. Full demo will be coming out on my Patreon channel. I'll add the links in the description. This little piece is on Canson velvet paper. It's about 9 by 7 inches. And as I said in the beginning, sometimes these mini demos that I do each month are just a bit of fun, really. This is not necessarily something I would have considered painting, but sometimes when I'm on the search for ideas for my mini demo series, I land upon something different, and that was definitely the case this month. I think I possibly might have drawn a pine cone sometime during my student years, but it's been many years since I attempted anything like it. And while I've been out on my walks recently, I've taken some lovely photo references of all of the seasonal things that I see and all of the things that nature can produce that are so beautiful. And the simple pine cone is such an attractive item. So I liked this photo reference because of, well, as always, it's the light and shade for me. So it really doesn't matter what I'm painting. If I like the light and shade, that's kind of what attracts me to painting at half the time. And in this case, we get a lot of light just hitting the edges of the pine cone, which I thought was really nice. So I started off with a black pastel, a harder black pastel, and I've kind of done like a bit of a tonal study of the pine cone. And even just by adding those darker shadows in at the core of the pine cone, it already starts to give it a kind of 3D feel. So I did that first to get me going. And then, as always, I find it really difficult to resist adding some background. And I like the background in this photo reference because it's got a lovely, bright and fresh pine kind of feeling to it. I can almost smell the pine needles just looking at this photo. So I decided to include a little bit of that. Tried not to go overboard with the background. And as you'll see in the demo, I tried to take some shortcuts while at the same time trying to get the general feel of the background. So we've got some out of focus areas going on in the far distance. And then we also get a kind of mixture of the pine cones coming gradually into focus and also catching some of that brilliantly bright light. So I wanted to create the atmosphere or the scene to set off my pine cone. But really, my main interest in this little demo was the pine cone itself. So I tried not to spend too long on the background. And as with all of these mini demos in my tutorials library, these are designed to be under 4 hours in length. I tried to think of something that's quick to do for those of us who don't always have a huge amount of time to spend painting each month. And I try to choose subject matter that is something interesting, something that teaches a particular technique or demonstrates an idea really well. And in this case, like in a lot of my tutorials, what I'll talk about probably the most is the use of color to depict the light and shade. And that's always something that I find really interesting when I'm painting. How can I use color to make this seem more alive, to make the 3D nature of my painting really work? Because a lot of the time, it's my color choices that are doing that. In this little piece, I did not go into a huge amount of detail, surprisingly, even though it kind of looks detailed when you look at the finished piece. But I didn't bother neatening up all of the edges of the pine cone, for example. It was more important to me to get those lovely colours in there. The ones that depict the shadows are so interesting to me. And in this case, I used a lot of lilacs and blue violets. And you can see now that I'm just working over the top of the black that I put down at the very beginning. So if you're using good quality pastels, the pigment is so strong. These are mostly unison pastels that I'm using, and they are so heavily pigmented. Those colors are really opaque. So a bit like with oil painting, I can work from dark to light. And even some of my brightest colors will still go over the top of something really dark. So this is not actually pure white. It's a slightly yellow tint called Grey 26. And I like to try and avoid using really stark, bright, pure white. Sometimes I'll use a very pale yellow tint instead, and that tends to just add a bit of warmth to the piece overall. So the full demo will be just over 2 hours in length. As I said, I didn't spend a huge amount of time on this. It's one of the reasons that I love the mini demos myself each month, because I spend a lot of time creating bigger portraits or landscape paintings. Often I'm trying really hard to get a likeness of something. And for me, the mini demos are such a pleasant relief. I do one of these each month. They're always under 4 hours, and they're usually demoing something that I perhaps haven't painted before, and it's often just little projects that I really fancy having a go at. And that's the idea of the mini demos. In my tutorials library, I've got lots of bigger tutorial series taking you step by step through my commissioned portraits, showing you absolutely every trick that I throw at those. But if you've got less time to paint, then perhaps some of the mini demos might be of interest. I'll add links to where you can find those in my tutorials library in the description below. And I promise that very soon here on YouTube I will do another real-time tutorial again. I spend so much time making my tutorials for Patreon, and I don't always get time each month to do something for YouTube here as well. And that's why I put out these little fast time-lapse versions so that you can at least see what I'm working on. And if any of them catch your interest, come and check them out over on Patreon, where you'll find them in real time. But of course, here on YouTube, I do have some real-time tutorials as well. If you search through my playlists here on YouTube, you'll find a wealth of information all about the materials that I use. You'll find some real-time tutorials that you can work along with to get you started. And these little time lapses as well, because I really enjoy making the time lapse of each piece that I paint. It's a lot of fun for me to see it back like this, and I hope that you enjoy these as well. If you have been enjoying some of my YouTube content, then please do me the huge favour of hitting the subscribe button. All of your likes on my videos and your comments help me so much. But there's always quite a large percentage of people who watch my videos who are not actually subscribed, so it would help me a huge amount if you would hit that subscribe button. And then just as an extra, if you happen to be on Instagram, go and check me out there too. I got hacked on Instagram a while ago and lost absolutely everything. So I've been starting from scratch. If any of you followed me previously there, just to let you know that I am back and I would love if you would come and follow me again. So that's a lot of requests, but I really appreciate all of your support. It helps me to keep making these videos and it helps me to keep enjoying what I do. But thanks very much for watching this here, and until next time, happy pasteling.